So, continuing onward here, I wanted to talk about parent and child menus within ACL. And we touched on it a little bit before where we set up that variable so that it calculated, what is the table name that's being used there. And as we continue through, this is the gobbledygook of kind of parent and child menu structures, which again, I kind of pulled this from one of my books, The Payables Test Set, and I wanted to show you how the menu can kind of work from menu to menu within the actual ACL, so that you can kind of work with that. And with that said, let's jump into ACL here. And this is the main menu script here. It's kind of fun to run this one, so let me just like run this one actually, where it says, welcome to the Payables Test Set main menu. It's actually at this dialog box right here, and it's basically saying, assign Chapter 1 radio equal to 0. Assign Chapter 2 radio equal to 0. What that's essentially doing here is as we select these, let me just actually, well, I'm running it, so let me, sorry about that. Let me go into here and actually kind of set this up. So we have the main menu radio, which is down below here. The main menu radio allows you to select either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and these are all of the items that the main menu radio sets up. That's all of these listings right here. Bear with me one second. So as you continue down here, we then assign these chapter radios equal to 0, but essentially if main menu radio equals 1. So again, that was that one up here that we just set, forgetting all of this assign equal to 0 thing. What we're then doing is if main menu radio equals 1, then it's going to set up this dialog, and this dialog would be the next dialog which relates to chapter 1. So this is a way that you can create like a parent to a child. So you're using this if statement, main menu radio equal to 1, in the beginning here to denote that it's kind of starting out in there, and then as it continues through the script here, we'll just take a look at, we have the chapter 1 radio coming up. That may be basically what it's going to ask here in here is, which particular script do you want to run? And it'll have like, vendor discount, interest, vendor location, etc. And as we select that, it will then decide, based on the way the radio button's set up, which batch or script to kick off. Now, I haven't included these scripts, so it will bomb if you try to continue forward. But again, I just wanted to kind of show you the parent-child relationship of this. So if I say, let's go to chapter 3. So down below here in the script, they'll have a, if main menu radio 1 equals a 3, bring up this new menu, which is the chapter 3 test set, and then you could basically select a particular script to run. And the way the radios work is, it'll bomb now. It'll say I can't find that PO over script down below. But what it did was it went down here. I selected option number 4, and the way these dialogues work, just to kind of show you here, just to edit this dialogue, is it doesn't really matter what's written here. It's really just this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You kind of have to just count it off, and let me just delete that. And so again, even in this main menu radio that we set up top here, again, it's like 1, 2, 3. So I selected chapter 3, it was equal to 3, and then it ran from there. So that is how you can set up parent and child type sequences. I would say one thing to consider when doing this, especially if you're running lots of different scripts at once, instead of using radio buttons like we've used here just to run like one script at a time, what you might want to do, and we'll just kind of quickly show you this, is we can go to the dialog creation editor, which is build a new dialog here. buttons have changed on me since the last time. And instead of selecting the radio button, what you can do is select the checkbox. And again, you probably want to say, V, if you maybe want to put in like CB for checkbox so you know what it is. And then this would be something like, report selection or something like that. That would be the variable. You can have it in a checked format if you'd like as well, if that kind of helps you. And then from a label point of view, what you want to call this checkbox, we'll call it, let me call it like report selection 1. We'll call this like report 1. And then that would be already checked off and kind of ready for selection. Then let me just go back here to copy what I did here. Then as I set up more checkboxes, in this case, you could make this a 2. And we could call this report 2. Again, we want to keep it in an initial state of a checked in this case. And what this will do is like maybe, when you get to the chapter 3, if you just want to run all of chapter 3 instead of picking each report one at a time, checkboxes are better, for this. And then what you could just say is if this variable equals true, meaning it's checked, then run the actual script down below. So way down here where we had, if, radio, if chapter 2 equals radio equals 1, instead you would have if that CB report 1 equals a T for true, then, do that particular script. So just wanted to go over some final script best practices. Even though I talked about some of these in the last webinars, I always think it's a good idea to kind of just touch on them again and just give you some of my final ideas. I really do feel between the 3 courses that we have, the basic or the intermediate and now the advanced, that you pretty much have everything you'll need to be able to script very complex scripts, and I've tried to give you a lot of those little tools so that you can do that. And just some of the things to consider: having a set safety on and off in there, and I would even challenge to use echo on and off. What echo does, if you say set echo on or set echo off, that will turn off the log in ACL so that it's not going to log anything. That's a little dangerous, but sometimes when you're using a lot of code up and it's going to churn a lot of that into the log itself, it's a great idea just to turn that thing off. So that's one thought. I like setting those variables up front in the script, and let's we'll talk about commenting in code as well. Let me just kind of jump back to ACL. We had done this in this keyword area. Notice how I have all these variables up front. It's a great thing. I mean, you can even move this to an entirely new script called, set variables, like, SOO underscore set variables. And that would be up here, let's say. And once you've done that, if you use these variable names throughout all of your scripts, all you have to do to change this so that it runs for another company is just edit the actual variable name right there. So it makes it really easy. We talked about coding in a text editor. I actually think the new ACL is well worth using. And commenting throughout the code, notice here we have this green information here. A couple of ways to do comments. I mean, you can just comment on one line like I've done here, or you could have the word comment, and then in between here, you can type a bunch of stuff. And as long as those lines are together, everything's okay. Just you really should put an end at the end of it. So that's kind of the 2 ways to comment. And I'm a big believer of keeping comment code throughout your scripting so you can find stuff. I just the other day was taking a look at someone's script that they printed out and they couldn't understand why it was bombing out, and we were very easily able to just like look in the log, the ACL log here, and every time the comment code was utilized, it was an easy way of going back and saying, wait, that's, comment, whatever. And you may even want to go so far as to actually put in, this is comment oh 01, and then down below here, this is comment oh 02, and continue onwards. And that way, when it does break, if you're, if it breaks at comment oh 07, you're really far into the script, and you have some time before, actually editing anything. So let me just close that up. Okay. I haven't really used many pause statements today, but at the end of scripting, sometimes it's a good idea to put a pause in there. Deleting all OK will delete all your variables in ACL, and that's sometimes good. I mean, we kind of ran into some trouble where I had like a temporary file out there still, and this is kind of where you delete the sorted.filok. I think we had that data table definition table like sitting out there, and it was a bad formatted one. So these temporary files can kind of trip you up, and it's a good idea to delete those. I like having a master or main script to do all the scripts, and that way you can see in one place all of your. We use that a lot today, where we had the main and the sub, and just by watching the main part of it, you can really see what is ultimately happening from the top level.